Dooby-doo. Dooby-dooby-doo. The cat is on a rampage. Dooby-dooby-doo. There we go. Alright, let's get the topic going. Alright, almost ready. Drones in the city, drones in the woods. Oh, I should have a new... I got an idea. We're almost ready. I have some ideas. I keep thinking of more ideas. So hold on. Blah 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 blah. Unless my whole system just freaking times out. City drone in the woods, bringing with them team attitudes. Hitty surrounded by happy helping drones with a beautiful sunset of pinks and blues. Almost ready. How's it going? Almost ready. I want a new background. I'm doing a new background because this is gonna be fun. An idea. Kind of winging this as I go. Now the cats are having a mosh pit in the other room, it sounds like. Here we go. This is some good shit. Can't believe the physical and drug test took 3.5 hours. That's insane. Whoa. Bonk, 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 bonk. We are almost ready. There we go. All right. Actually, it's funny that you... Okay, now here we are. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully I'm 5x5, yada yada, all the things. My head just started killing me, but I think it's just like sinus crap. So I took a little piece of Sudafed. Hopefully you can hear me 5x5 and all the goody gumdrops. Physical and drug test took 3.5 hours. You know, I have experienced that before. Perfect. Thank you, KP. I've experienced that before, and it's as everybody switches over to like manual physical type jobs, they'll the doctor's offices will just be flooded with all the people trying to knock out the physicals and potty in the cup to go do physical work. I think, in my opinion, that's like a sign. Some people might say, oh no, that's a sign of the economy doing awesome. I would say that's a sign of the economy taking a giant shit. I was watching Survival Living's channel earlier, and he was struggling with work, and I think what he was doing is I think he wanted to apply for welding stuff, but there wasn't a lot of welding stuff, so he started applying for mechanic stuff, and he went for a drive and got like 3 job offers for mechanic work. And you might be thinking, well, that sounds like everything's doing awesome. But I used to work in automotive, and mechanic work tends to go up as the economy takes a crap, because everybody has to try to repair their vehicles instead of just buying new vehicles, and so they just have to take their vehicles in for just more and more and more and more and more repairs. FedEx, yeah. So I think if I'm not mistaken, like, okay, are you going to be a FedEx driver, or are you going to work in the FedEx warehouse? I had a roommate, and he got a lot of hours at FedEx, but I think in the warehouse, but like, unfortunately, as everything slumps, like, the FedEx warehouse folks take like a pretty big hit. But if there's like a huge stimmy package, that could keep FedEx like really busy. Delivery driver, that's good. That's good. I mean, I hope you get a good route. I hope you don't get a shit route where you got to run up a lot of stairs. I know FedEx, UPS, and Amazon are employing a lot of people right now. Unfortunately, like, the economy has to stay good for that to really work out. But I hope it does. Like, I don't want the economy to crash. I just think it's in a massive doom loop, and I don't see a way out. But the like, logistics aren't going to grind to a halt, because this pisses a lot of people off, but there's actually still a lot of people with money. And FedEx and a FedEx contractor, how do you choose between the two? That's I've never heard of that before. I wonder which one gets you more protections, I wonder which one. I guess I'd have to ask the AI. I'd have to figure. I wonder which one's more stable. Like, I wonder which one gets laid off first. I wonder which one's more flexible, which one has more flexibility to stick around. I know the funniest thing in the world happened here yesterday. We got mail delivery, and then 10 minutes, but it wasn't from the post office, so then 10 minutes later, a guy from a completely different post office came by, which has never happened before, as far as I know. It was hilarious, and we had a good laugh before he ran off into the fog like a ghost. But yeah, like I was saying, like, a lot of people still have money. That's part of the reason why the economy is as screwed up as it is, because half of the US is doing fine, and the other half of the US is just screwed. My experience is they let go of the contractor. Interesting. That, that makes sense. I mean, the contractors are in a different spreadsheet for sure. But yeah, my roommate was in the warehouse, and he got a lot of hours and couldn't, made a ton of extra money. So it's good. It's good. And then if you're lucky to live in an area that, like we did, where there was like two FedEx warehouses pretty close to each other, like, there was just literally no shortage of work, because it was a major hub. 2 major hubs. Well, a major hub with 2 warehouses. They were always hiring. And if you can keep up physically, you just like run circles around everyone, and never got a stimmy check because you're working as a delivery driver. During the Rona, you should have got a stimmy check during the Rona. I think or two. It was really weird. The Rona was really weird. Um, I don't think any of us are going to get stimmy checks this time around, even if they do exist, because I think they're only going to be giving them to like the ultra poors. And I think it's comical that it's just like half the U.S. is like super super poor, and then the other half of the U.S. is doing just fine, like purely based on the interest rate of their house. Like I literally think that the US could like reset tomorrow just by giving everybody a lower interest rate on their house. The home lenders are not budging at all. And the Fed might, lower interest by a quarter point, but it's probably already baked in, and home interest is just a completely made up value. It is a completely made up value, and which is why you can just magically buy it down. It doesn't mean anything. The banks just have you buy the cojones. You went to Walmart and the shelves were bright. So I have an opinion about Walmart. I think it's kind of an unpopular opinion. I don't think Walmart has that much food. And I don't think they've had that much food for a long time. I feel like for like the last, ever since we moved here, ever since I remember, it always seems like Walmart's shelves are like half empty. And so it only takes, honestly, I think like 6 people filling up their shopping carts in like certain aisles would probably wipe them out of like all of their affordable shelf stable food. I bet you that would just be an awful challenge. But I bet you if I took 6 people to Walmart, I could probably empty them out in like a half an hour, because they just don't. And I'm not saying that to be like a jerk. I'm saying that because like they just do not have that much food. I said I worked at Walmart distributing center and seen how many pallets went to each store. I used to work at the Albertsons distribution center, and Albertsons, well, I mean, obviously that was a while ago, but Albertsons had tons of food. Tons and tons and tons and tons and tons. And if I over distributed, they got pissed off. But I'm like, dude. But the problem is like the stores were, back then they had a good problem. The stores were full. Right? So like sending them more food kind of effed them up because their store was full. Then they'd cry about it, and then in 2 days they were ordering again anyway. Like now, they have these massive, massive, massive Walmarts with no food in them. And then half of that food, here's the thing that people don't factor in when they go grocery shopping at a Walmart. Half that food is going to online and pickup. So if I was in charge of a Walmart, I no shit would be ordering double of like all my shelf stable food. They could sell it. Because all it takes is like 6 people to wipe them out of their affordable stuff. Like I'm talking like their Walmart brands. You could probably do it with 4 people. I bet you if I went with 4 people, I could wipe out their entire Walmart brand of all their shelf-stable food. Because they have no food. The only reason it looks like they have food sometimes is because nobody that shops there can afford name brand beans and name brand chili, name brand mac and cheese, because name brand mac and cheese is like 3 times the price. Sometimes like it's just you're gonna pay like $6 for a box of mac and cheese. I don't care if you're on Snap or not. Like you're not affording a $6 box of mac and cheese. Nobody wants mac and cheese that bad, and you're certainly not prepping it at that price. It's insane. And so our Walmart is always half empty. And it's not like they don't have people stocking it. It's just they're just never stocking the prepper food aisle. Corn and green beans on sale. Right. So here's the funny thing. If you try to order corn and green beans online, they'll let you buy like one case of 12 or something. Like, it's a complete joke. You'd think if they ordered online, yeah, that's an amazing price. The problem is you can't prep. You can't prep that at scale unless you go every day. So like what Survival Living does is he goes to Walmart like several times a week because that's the only way you can stock Walmart food at scale, because they just don't have enough on the damn shelf. Whereas if you go to Winco, right across the way, hopefully, usually there's a Winco next to the Walmart. Winco has like legit 20 times the food. It's a difference between like night and day. And sometimes at Winco it's the same price. Except if you go out of Winco with a shopping cart, they don't even blink. Whereas if you go out of the store, if you go out of the Walmart with a shopping cart, like, you look like a hoarder. But you go out of the Winco and nobody even looks at you. It's crazy. So we found that out. I feel like it was last winter. I can't remember, but we were gonna restock our shelves, and the wife had her online order working, and she's like, "Oh, they'll only let me have 12 cans of corn." Which, like, if you're making a big meal, 12 cans of corn is only a couple meals. 12 cans of green beans, it's only like two. It's nuts. It's Walmart seems to have lost its capacity to order food at the scale it needs to order for its brand, its store brand. At least at the Walmart that I go to. Or maybe it's just supporting too many people, but every time I go, it's less than half stocked. But you can go there and get cereal and potato chips. That's weird. Anyway, so I'm glad you're landing something. I hope that you get a good route. And I hope that, Christmas keeps you busy, and maybe you'll get some OT and drive safe, and all the box truck angels watch over you. So, if there's a stimmy, or maybe people getting Christmas bonuses, they'll order Christmas stuff, and then you'll have lots to do. Nanny, how's it going? We're just talking about the affordability of shelf-stable foods, and how, like, Walmart's the place to go when the cans are on sale, 50 cents a can. Nolan's, that'll be fun. Hopefully it's like the safe part of Nolan's and not the rowdy part of Nolan's. So, any questions before I get into my main topic? And everyone probably just zones out because it's all techno mumbo jumbo. Oh, also, just don't forget, I think KP you already said, but I think Nanny already has one, but my book is on sale for the week, so I guess Ollie's, oh, there you go. So my book's on sale for the week, and so I guess maybe if you want to grab one for a friend for Christmas or something. I don't know. Or throw it at somebody that's pissing you off. NOLA? Yeah, that's right. I have heard that a lot. So if you know anybody, or if you want to tell anybody, to go grab it, if you know somebody else that's waiting on it. Yep, I put it on sale for the week. Okay, so one of the newer, hopefully everybody's ready. One of the newer topics that I wrote about your sister wants one. Heck yeah, Nanny. Well, it's on sale. So you can grab her a copy. One of the things I like to, I listened to their album a ton of times. I have it in my, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I have it on my thingy that I listen to music on. It's in my rotation. We have 2 ollies. Heck yeah. So I have lots of tech stuff in my book. And one of the newer topics in Bunker Basics is my topic of drones. Now, you might be thinking, oh, Chance, you idiot. Drones are too expensive. Or drones are flimsy pieces of crap. And you would be right for the most part. And you might also say, but, they're going to be banned in a few weeks. And kind of, yeah, I mean, sort of. But you might already have one, or, someone might be selling theirs. You might be able to pick it up for super cheap. My friend picked up a almost brand new drone for like $100 the other day. A name brand one too. And I'm kind of trying to repair it and get it into tip-top shape. And I ran into some hiccups on it, and I kind of want to share that with you. And so, first and foremost, especially if you're going to buy a used drone, you should know that the newer drones, at least the DJIs, which is the brand everyone goes with, they typically, the newer ones, are tethered to somebody's phone. So if you buy one brand new, you don't have to worry about it, and you tether it to your phone. Actually, it's technically a DJI account that happens to be on your phone. That way you can use other phones if you need to. So don't lose your username and password. But let's say little Johnny got in trouble with his mom, and his mom smacked him right in the mouth for being a little bastard. And then as a punishment, he has to sell his drone to you because he called you a slur as he was flying his drone or something. And so now you're the owner of Timmy the little bastard's drone. Anyway, the first thing you need to do before you take Timmy's drone, is he has to unlink the drone from his phone. So if it's the DJI Fly app, he has to go into his account, unlink it, and then show you on his phone that he unlinked the drone from his account. And then you can get the drone and get the batteries and get the cords, especially get the batteries. So if you're buying a used drone, there's a couple things in it that you absolutely need. If it came with a controller, get the controller. That reminds me, I should have charged the controller. If it came with extra batteries, get the extra batteries and get the caddy. Those batteries for a DJI drone, those batteries are worth like $50 a piece. Just the batteries are worth like $50 a piece. and then obviously get the drone. And if there's any extra propellers, get the extra propellers too, because those stinking propellers are starting to be worth a fortune. So, everyone repeat after me. Unsync the phone with the drone. That way you can sync it with your drone, or your phone, I'm sorry. Get the batteries, get the propellers, get the drone, get the controller. That drone is only like a piece of it, and you need to understand that. So that's step one. Now you've got that little bastard's drone, and he's going to go sit and think of his room about what a little piece of crap he is for calling you slurs while he was flying his drone around, and you get to laugh as you fly the drone around, and he's grounded. He's a little bastard. So, step two, charge it up and sync it to your drone and la-di-da. Usually there's like some, patches that you have to run, update the map, and, don't worry about, it being geo-fenced, because DJI drones aren't geo-fenced anymore. You can fly them anywhere. Just don't do anything stupid. Charge it all up. And make sure when you have to go to the DJI Fly account, or DJI Fly, it's not on the Google Play Store. Go to DJI Fly, download it. It's called Sideloading. And I suggest doing this on a burner phone if you have a burner phone, because I think next year I would not be surprised if Android tries to say that DJI is too risky of an app and screws up the certification of it. Android already flags it as a suspicious app and tries you to install it, but you can override it. I think next year it's going to be a much bigger problem with newer phones. So you can get a burner phone for like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks. And then, voila, you've got a drone phone. DJI Fly, sync to there, install the patches. It takes like a half an hour. And then you're ready to fly. So kind of the thing is, these drones, they seem like super scary on the outset, but in reality, like, the DJI Fly app walks you through the whole thing. It's got little tutorials and stuff. Just, don't fly it in the house in the dark. It'll crash. It needs light, and it needs GPS so it doesn't float around. Remember that we live on a globe. It's a big globe. It's always spinning. Flying things aren't like geostationary. So, the drone needs to like stay in place. It needs like the GPS to stay in place, or it starts just floating away, kind of like a balloon. And so like the drone that I'm working on today has a problem with one of the motors. And you started with a smaller one and got a bigger one. I started with a smaller one too, and I think I'm actually going to stay with small ones. We'll get to that in a minute. So this drone, when it takes off, it kind of tilts back a little bit, and then when it lands, it kind of tilts forward a little bit. And I can't tell if one of the motors damaged, or if one of the arms is off just a little bit. It is a lot to consider, and so that is why I'm talking to you about all this, because DJI makes a very, very, very nice, teeny tiny drone that has like all this armor on it. It's basically an indestructible drone with a pretty decent camera and pretty decent range and everything. And unfortunately, its newer, slightly bigger, better brother came out, but they're not letting us import it into the US yet. But by all accounts, they've improved everything on it. But I've had this one for a year. It's basically indestructible. You can fly it in the forest. You can't fly it in the house. I think the new one you can fly in the house, but I've flown this thing in the forest a ton of times. I've flown it through the grass. I've flown it in freezing cold temperatures. Thing is basically like an unkillable drone, and it's small enough to fit in your pocket. But it's totally shielded, and so like if a kid flies it, they're not going to break it. So and I think the reason why people aren't singing its praises enough is because drone enthusiasts, much like radio enthusiasts, have their heads so far up their ass that they are not trying to expand their tribe by trying to bring more people into their tribe. They're only trying to speak to the tribe that they already have. And so every time someone new gets into radios or someone new gets into drones, you have to deal with all the vitriol of like, goodness forbid somebody want to use their tech for something that they don't want to use it for. You know, like having a rifle that's fun, you know, or going hiking wearing silly clothes. You have to take hiking seriously. No, you have to be safe, but give me a break. And that's kind of the thing about drones is like, they have drones now that are affordable enough. I mean, I'm talking, you know, maybe just a couple $100 for a brand spanking new top of the line teeny tiny drone that can take great pictures, that flies really fast. The new drones can actually like chase you around on a motorcycle and keep up with you, and they can fly in crazy winds even though they're tiny. You know, this video I saw, the drone was practically flying sideways. And the tech in these things is so good that it was flying at like a 45-degree angle and still maintained like a stable picture. Like, it was insane. The technology they're packing into these tiny drones is just amazing. And decent flight time, not amazing flight time, but decent flight time. You know, enough to buzz around the yard a couple times, or enough to fly up over the tree line and look around and come back. You know, decent flight times, decent cameras. You know, they don't have night vision because you got to get a really expensive drone if you want night vision. But bump it into something, it doesn't matter. Bump it into a bush, bump it into the side of the house, bump it into your friend, you know, bump it into another drone, you know. And these little drones, they're called Neos. They're basically indestructible. I'll see if they're still on Amazon. The first ones, you can't get the second ones without going around the import restrictions. What the hell? They're on sale for $159 right now. Oh, okay, $220 with the 3 battery. So they don't come with the RCN3 controller though. So without the controller, these are only $229. Oh, excuse me, gurgle. You can get them with the FPV for $419, but most people don't like to do the FPV. Okay, so this one comes with a controller too, $279. Oh, that's so insane. So here, I'll throw that link in the chat. Just so y'all, like, you don't have to buy this. I just want you to know like what I'm talking about. So that's the DJI Neo with the controller and the batteries. That thing is a flying tank. The thing is a flying tank, but it's teeny tiny little flying tank. And next year, hopefully, if that stupid ban goes away, Um, plus C and 3 controller. Hopefully, like, we'll be able to get the Neo 2, so I'm saving up for the Neo 2. Or, if it takes too long, I might just have to acquire one somehow in Minecraft. So, my point is this, they don't have to be expensive. They don't have to be fragile. They don't have to be difficult to use. They're tethered to your account, so just don't lose your account. And if anyone steals your drone, it just gets bricked and they can't use it. They can't, steal it out of the sky and then, hack it. Worst case, they could make it land and run off with it. But you still have the controller, the rest of the batteries, all the rest of the parts. So you're actually not out that much money. You're out whatever, what I would do is clear all the videos and pictures off it every time you bring it out, in case you do lose it, you're not out all your videos and pictures. But, you can fly them 120 meters in the air, which is enough to see over the trees. You can fly them a half a mile away and back as long as it's line of sight. Which is more than enough to check on other houses. It's, check on your neighbors, check the fence, check for the cows, check over the hill, have it follow you around and record everything you see. Super power efficient to charge them. Like, if you use USB-C, 100 watt with the right cord, you can charge the batteries super fast, and as far as I can tell so far, it's safe. I mean, the drone, you'll eventually burn the batteries out, if you use the batteries every day for like a year or something, but by then you're gonna be wearing everything else out too. These things can, return to home with a reasonable expectation. They have obstacle avoidance, so they won't run into things. There's 4 ways to fly them, really. Like, there's one I call selfie drone, where they just follow you around. You don't even need a controller or a phone. They'll just follow you around. They can recognize you. Or you can fly them from your phone without a controller. Or you can fly them with your controller. Or you can fly them FPV, which is like wearing goggles. A lot of people think that there's a big learning curve because you got to build your own, and building your own is a good idea. That would be a good place to go, but I think probably 99.9% of us won't ever get there. And this is a great kind of a stopgap for now to have something to check around. You don't want to go down the road to check on something. Maybe it's too icy, or maybe there's a power line down and you want to go check down the road because there's a power line down and you don't want to walk it. You could send the drone over it. If you have a bigger drone, you could bring a little goodie to the neighbor's house or something. I don't know. I call them magic flying eyeballs because that's kind of what it feels like. They are a lot of fun. They are so much fun. I kind of don't like working on them. It's a little frustrating. But part of that's just because with the stupid trade war tariff China spy bullcrap, I can't go buy, OEM props right now. They're like double and triple the price. So that's kind of annoying. But there is an American manufacturer down in California that makes propellers, that makes props for almost all DJI drones, called Master Air Screw. And I actually have some of their props for my Neos. Their props are really good. And it is super frustrating that I can't get them for my other drone. But I emailed them. Maybe they've got some different screws or something. The problem is, like, the drone I have has weird screws. And for some reason they don't have, it's a whole mess. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, you can jam drones. Yeah, you can jam the GPS. There's a lot of that stuff. But I guess what I'll say in closing is that if everybody has a drone, I think it's kind of like the Second Amendment. It kind of keeps everybody safer. So, if there's a drone in your area and you don't know whose drone it is, you can just go knock the drone out of the sky with your drone. Like, obviously in shit it's the fan. I'm not talking about, don't interfere with other aircraft. But like in shit it's the fan, and you've got your little defense force, you don't know whose that drone is and you can't identify it, and you call base and they go, no, we don't have any drones up. You having drones gives you more options. And the bad guys aren't going to want to lose their drone, because drones and shit as the fan are going to be worth more than gold. So I just want to talk about that because drones are near and dear to my heart right now, because I am working on my third drone. It's not mine, it's for somebody else, but I'm working on it for them. And so I've been spending a lot of time on drones, and I just wanted to share what I've learned so far and try to promote my book. It's on sale all week for Black Friday Bundaroo, and I'm really hoping I can get more reviews. And I think y'all probably went to bed, and that's fine. I know it's hella late. It's just this is when I can stream. So I finished work and I worked on the drone until it got dark. And what I would say is bookmark that link I sent to the Neo. It's on sale for a great price right now and comes with everything you need. They make a great gift and they're just a blast. I have the hugest smile on my face every time I get to fly a drone. Hey, Nanny. Okay, cool. So, bookmark that link for the Neo. I'm going to get a Neo 2 when they come out next year, or I'll find a way to get one, because I really want a Neo 2. I just got to wait for the prices to come down, or wait for us to properly import them here. So that's it. That concludes my topic. So if anyone has anything else, like Nanny, if you have any questions about the book, or any questions about drones, or really, honestly, any questions about anything, let me know. Oh, and if you do, I see a Neo 2 or something, don't buy the ones online right now. They could be tethered to somebody else already, like I said. But they're still double or more the price. Those are scalpers. That's what I'm trying to say. Those are scalpers. So don't do that. Stick with the Neo 1 for now. It's on a Black Friday sale. Crazy good prices. If you follow the directions, you'll be flying in half an hour. Also, I'll say don't buy used drones from people that you don't know, don't trust, and can't get them to untether the phone from their phone. Like I said, like I see this one on eBay. Used item, works great. Barely use this, takes great photo, great control. See, he doesn't say in here like, I'll untether it. And so, like, that was like one of my big like aha moments, is like, these people probably won't scam you. Like, if you buy it and it's like, alert, this is tethered, if the eBayers got, 100% positive and, hundreds of reviews, as long as they still have the drone, like if it was theirs, it'll still be attached to their account and they can untether it, so you can tether it to your account. But otherwise, like the only reason I told my friend it was okay, to go grab this one is because the guy was local. And so if it wasn't tethered, but if it was, he could have just gone to the guy and say, hey, pull out your phone, untether it really quick. And like we could have tethered it right there to ours and we would have known it was okay. It turned out to be an older model that didn't tether though. So I would just be really wary about buying used. Solely because it can be tethered and then it's just useless. Or like what happened with mine, not mine, the one I'm working on, where I suspect that it was not new. And I suspect it actually had been flown because, or someone had done someone had tried to put the wrong props, or someone had tried to put like the wrong screw and the wrong props in it or something, because one of the motors looks like it was like cross-threaded sideways with like a freaking power drill. Which is probably the motor that's all screwed up. And unfortunately, like taking it to a store, I don't know who repairs DJIs around here. DJI repair shop. There's certainly no official ones. You probably have to mail it in. I just want to know where. No, I don't want to sell my drone. I want to repair my drone. We accept drop-off mail to repair. DJI series drone repair. Save more, fly longer. Drone repair department. We specialize in Mavic 3s. We focus exclusively on Mavic 3s. Well, F you. Why would you specialize in like one? Well, hey, they're kind of local though, but so the funny thing is, I guess repairing these motors is not a bitch. If you are okay with soldering, you just take the shell off and solder a new one on. So that's something to keep in mind. So if I needed someone to tear, I could go up. I just like ship it to them. But the problem is by the time you ship it to them, by the time they ship it back, by the time you repair, by the time you pay, for the new part, and again, like I said, and actually like they said too on their website, like parts have gotten more expensive. So I would just get a new one and make sure you warranty it. I don't know if my Neo is warranted, but again, these Neos are just absolutely wrecking balls. They're like flying wrecking balls. But yeah, like the price of a used Neo with everything right now is not that much cheaper than a brand new one on the Black Friday sale. So clearly they've flown this thing around. So let's look at this one. They've flown this thing around. Yeah, see, used, perfect condition. Okay, it's in perfect condition. Did you untether it? I don't know. I'm sure nobody thinks to do that. Let's see. I'll look at one more. You guys are probably like, shut up, you freaking irritating moron. Understandable response. Pre-owned, 35 sold. Okay, this would be the penultimate sketchiness of sketchingdom. This person's selling them for $170. there's some kind of shop that sells tons of things. The box says not for sale, which is kind of funny. And this just looks like, oh, here's the note, you guys. If there's any problem with the product received, please do not make a return request. Contact me at the first time to deal with it. I will replace it for you. Because the product comes from the buyer return, the buyer's feedback is that it has not been used. However, it is not excluded that the buyer intentionally hides the information of using him. Perhaps there will be small problems, but the probability of this case is very low. Oh, yeah, that doesn't sound sketchy at all. That doesn't sound sketchy at all. Here we go. Buyer beware, you will not receive the item or the box shown in the photo they are using. I messaged the seller to confirm they were sending me the correct box. I received my item. It's not the correct item. This was expensive and the box was the main reason I wanted this and it's wrong. I attached a photo showing the wrong box. What is this? Oh, cool. It's like some kind of, I don't know what that is. But suffice it to say, I'm not even remotely surprised. This looks like some kind of weird eBayer that like drop ships other people's stuff or something. Yeah. So this one, obviously they did not own this. Those probably aren't the real photos. They say 5 available, 35 sold. This just has scam written all over it. This has scam written all over it. So don't buy used drones unless you have somebody really savvy that can look and see if it's a drone from somebody who actually owned it or if it's some kind of scam. Because none of these people say that they, it's in perfect condition. Well, that's great. If it's tethered to their account, you can't fly it. You just bought a brick. And I think if you're wondering why I am harping on that so much, exactly, buy new. The reason why I'm harping on that so much is you might think, oh, well, this person's honest. They really owned this or whatever. But what people do, I think, is they steal them, be able to return it to a store. Yeah. And there are absolutely drone stores. Like, you don't even have to go to, Best Buy or, the big box stores. Just like there's stores that, that cater to, the radio, the handheld radios. There's stores that are like drone stores, and the drone repair stores might actually sell drones themselves. But yeah, clearly, like, those first 2 people that were selling drones looked totally legit, but they could still be selling stolen drones, but probably not with that many reviews. They probably really did own it, and so if you called them or messaged them, they'd be more than happy to untether it. That third one, that 100% looked like a scam. Number one, they were selling those drones for way too cheap. That was like over 100. Hey, Rip Curl, my book's on sale. It's on sale for the whole week. So if you could grab it and leave a review, that'd be awesome. I can't remember if you already grabbed it or not. I'm sorry. I try to keep notes on that stuff so I don't hassle people, but yeah, that third one looked like a scam because they said they have 5 available and they sold 35. There's no way they owned 35 of those. There's no way they had 35 used drones. There's no way they could be selling them for $100 below. So they probably bought 35 drones that were, maybe they were tethered, maybe they weren't tethered. And I asked the AI, and the AI said that DJI will not unlock the drone for you. And it kind of reminds me of like Nintendo back in the day. Like people would steal Game Boys and try to resell the Game Boy. And then so you'd go to the store to buy a used Game Boy, and it would, you don't know if that got stolen from somebody and resold. You don't know if like some kid got beat up, and their Game Boy stolen. Or if little Jimmy was being a little bastard and his mom sold his Game Boy because he was being a little piece of shit. And it's kind of, I don't know. If I was DJI, I think what I would do is I would have some kind of button where it's like, ping the owner and ask them to unlock it. But if you press this button, you're also reporting it potentially stolen. There's, that way, if they say, hey, yeah, just press the button when you get it, and then I'll unlock it for you. Like, that would be cool, but, DJI didn't do that. That would be cool, though. And then at least then people would be able to be like, no, brick that son of a bitch. You stole my, my drone. But I think the scary thing is too, is like people should be able to have a way to like remote delete all the files off the drone. So if your drone did get stolen, you could like remote delete, the files off your drone so they can't see whatever freaky deaky thing you've been taking drone photos of. I'm sure people, unfortunately there's bad actors out there where they, fly over the swimming pool, of people trying to swim in the privacy of their swimming pool and stuff. I know there's people like that out there, unfortunately, which is why if there's a drone over your property, you should be able to blow it out of the sky. I think it's crazy to me that you just don't have the right to protect yourself from drones. But if you're in the country, do what you got to do. But I know people have like blown drones out of the sky, and then the people come over, and it's like, there was this one, and he had his daughters in the swimming pool or something, and he's like, well, you're a frigging pervert, and the two people called the cops on him, and he got in trouble even though they were being perverts. So I think kind of all the more reason why you should have your own drone, because then if someone's flying a drone on you, you can go find where they are, and you can go say, hey, I saw what you were doing. Like, I don't know. Hey, Rip Curl, hopefully everything's well. Hopefully you saw my link. My book's on sale. I'm trying to get more reviews. I'm up to 11 reviews. I think several people have said that they've left reviews and they just haven't popped up. So I'm hoping there's more reviews in the oven. I really want to get 25. I'm trying to gauge if there's enough support to write a part 2. I really want to write a part 2, but I don't want to write a part 2 if nobody's going to read it. I've written a lot of books that nobody's read, or very, very few people have read. So, yeah. Is there any other questions or any other thoughts before I sign off? It's been a long day. I worked all day, jumped off, worked on the drone, and I've been trying to market my book all night. So I'm like, everything's getting kind of woozy. But I'm giving this like 110%. I'm trying so hard. I really appreciate you guys. This is crazy. Now they're all using all kinds of ground drones. I know. I really want a drone dog. It's not on tape because it's like It's like a reference manual. Thank you, Nanny. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Yeah, Rip Curl, it's like a reference manual full of like tribal knowledge. So it doesn't translate well into, into audio format. Like I just talked through a section of it, So it's more like, that's kind of how my podcast started, was me trying to talk through it section by section. But like very, very, very few people listen to these, or I think really kind of care what I have to say. A couple people do, but I mean, for the most part, I think people use it like a reference manual. Yeah, here, like, do you have any... So while you're here, like, if you have any questions about it, I'll go through it really fast. And Nanny, if you have any questions about it too, KP, if you have any questions about it, I'll pull it up and just show you guys. Like, it's... And I think the reason why this is important to me, and this isn't me throwing shade on anybody, but there's kind of two... Here, I'm going to flip over in a second. So there's kind of two kinds of prepper books. Well, there's three. Hey, Ringo. There's kind of three types of prepper books. There's decent ones that like for the value, I guess I should say. And then there's the ones that are kind of like 60 to 90 pages that are like a single topic. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, wow. Ringo says thank you. Meow, wow. Meow, wow. Meow, wow. There's like a decent sized book where you're getting your value, and there's a lot of topics in it. And then there's kind of like a little bit, more budget friendly, kind of like a single topic. Thank you, Nanny. And thank you, RC. Like single topic books, like Roaming Prepper's book. It's like a single, like two topics that are kind of complementary. That's kind of the second type of book. And I've got a bunch of those, and they're really good. Or like my SHTF drone book that I always talk to everyone about by Dawn Shift. Like kind of those single or like two complementary topic books. Like Southern Prepper one did one that's just like a little like nuclear book, and like a little kind of team building book. Like I have a bunch of those, and those are really cool, but they're kind of like only 1 to 2 topics. But they're good for like the one topic or the 2 topics. But then there's like the rest that is just AI slop or just complete and total scams. Well, if you want a signed one, so I consider you a VIP. So if you do want a signed one someday, let me know, and we'll talk offline, and I'll get you a signed one. But I only do signed ones for the VIPs. There's a lot of people that wanted like signed copies of my books in the past. I'm like, I literally have no idea who you are. And they would order. There was this one guy. I forgot if I told you guys, or if I've told you this story already. I apologize. There was this guy who wanted like a bunch of signed copies of my books, and I found out he like only lived like 10 miles away. And I was so weirded out. And he dropped like a good chunk of money on my books, and he only lived like 10 miles away. And I only know about that because he ordered them from me personally and wanted them all signed. And I just never heard from him again. It was like just one of the weirdest things. But to be clear, like I get you and one of the other guys confused. Do you live down near Medford? Is that right? Or am I thinking of Am I thinking of... Fuck. No. For some reason, I keep thinking you live in Medford. I don't know why. I don't know who I'm thinking of that lives in Medford. But yeah, these are the topics. There's tons of them. And the reason why there's just tons and tons and tons of topics is it's all just tribal knowledge. Oh, you are in Medford? Holy, that's amazing. Dude, do I have like a banger memory or what? It's funny how I can like remember. My memory is like absolutely Swiss cheese, but then I remember just like the weirdest things. I try to remember all my like I call them my I-5 corridor buddies, and so in my brain, you are like categorized as like one of my I-5 corridor buddies. Marf, like on Marf's channel, there is no shit like 20 to 30 people that are on the I-5 corridor. It is nuts. If I wasn't so like insanely paranoid, I think I would have gotten them all together a long time ago. But I'm just so crazy paranoid about meeting anybody. Because of some stuff that happened a while ago where there was a bunch of people on the I-5 corridor and they basically turned out to be like a cult of just absolute zombies. It's a long story. And I am so glad. Heck yeah. I was so glad I didn't meet up with them. They ended up being absolute psychos. But yeah, there's like Stop the Bleed and Bugs and Burns and Shock and Dental. Dental got the approval of Love and Life, which is pretty cool. And I initially wrote all of this without any consultants, but then like consultants like started adding things later, or like started kind of giving me the, oh, that's weird, this didn't I probably have to update this field, see if that fixes it. There we go. Excuse me. There we go. People read it like throughout time. Like I have a consultant buddy that like checked all my stuff for my electronics, and kind of that's kind of what I want to do is like the more people that read this, dude, it's bad. Crazy people validate themselves not by hanging out with crazy people. They try to validate themselves by hanging out with people who have credibility so they can like latch their craziness onto the credibility of the people who aren't crazy. And if you get sucked down into their madness, it's like they suck the equity out of you and it builds their credibility, and then they blame you for being they blame you for being a grifter and a bunch of other words I can't think of. They accuse you of grifting when really they're just like these amoebas sucking everyone. Oh, clout chasers. They call you clout chasers, but they're just floating around like amoebas. They don't create anything. They suck off everybody's equity. And then they all get together, and then they show everybody how much fun they're having to try to attract people into their like sphere of psychoses. And they're like, they attract trash like meth. And you just see these like entire communities built around a glorified, trailer park. They're not meth heads, but they act like meth heads. They act like cultist meth heads. And it takes a while to see through the surface and be like, oh no, these people are out of their damn minds. They don't have their shit together at all. It's all an act. Yeah, that's 100% it. And, yeah, yep, they're not, and then if you go again, and here's how you can tell it's cult. Here's how you can tell it's culty. Because the second you don't toe the line anymore, the whole damn cult comes after you. And then they make you seem like the one, and then all their crazy cultists come after you. And I think, honestly, I'm going to take a note. Ringo, can you take a note? I want to talk about culty stuff in part 2. I think I bring up cult stuff a tiny bit in this one. Yeah. Oh, no, that doesn't count. That's the word culture. No, that's also the word culture. Culture, difficult, culture, difficult, culture, culty. Yeah, here we go. Uh-oh. Shit. I knew you were going to show up like literally any minute. I was just talking about how appreciative I was that you helped me out with the electronics section of this book. It's almost past my bedtime. I slept in this morning on accident. I slept through both of my alarms. They usually don't bother you. Well, yeah, the problem is you've got to stay out of all their chats and shit. Like, that's the problem. And finding other content creators that aren't cultists is like really hard. And you can tell kind of the way they talk. But I think right here, this is where I mention the cult. I say, a Christian's best resource is the Bible, not someone's interpretation of the Bible, not some website claiming it interprets the Bible, not some lunatic saying they spoke to someone in a dream one time. The Bible, that's it. Beware false prophets and the like. And if people being culty, get out of there. And but I think when I write the next one, I think I'm going to do a whole thing about cults. Anyway, so there's stuff about food and literature and campfires and animals and hoarding and recon and conflict resolution. But this conflict resolution part's really, 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 really short. And that's because, like, in the second one, I'm going to write a huge thing about conflict resolution. Because a lot of people do not understand what it is. A lot of people think it's how you phrase your words. But it's not. It's not how you phrase something. That could create conflict, or that could, escalate something into a worse conflict. If I say, you make me feel like a piece of shit. Or versus, I feel like I'm a piece of shit whenever I'm around you. There's different ways you can phrase things, like lots of I statements versus like lots of you statements. And a lot of people think that that's conflict resolution. And I actually got into an argument with somebody once because I was trying to establish some rules around resolving conflicts. They completely misheard me. I didn't even get to finish. They went into a whole tirade about I versus you statements. Didn't hear anything I said. Completely misread the situation. And I just sat there listening to the whole thing. And I'm just like, yeah, never mind. Never mind. Sure, whatever. And we never talked about it ever again because I just didn't want to deal with it ever again. I was just like, never mind. And the problem with the prepping community, well, and the streaming community in general, is just like conflict resolution doesn't exist, because in both instances, cults and prepper groups, and a lot of prepper groups get culty, and a lot of culty groups get preppery. It's like one alpha, with everybody, coming around them. And then all of a sudden you realize that, the person in charge has got a staff with a damn eyeball that can move around on its own. And you're like, uh-oh. Why has he got a staff with an eyeball? Why can the guy in charge cast spells? That's not good. So I used to come up with a lot of funny rules that used to really piss people off. Like, I won't talk to anybody who wears a baseball cap that has a flat bill. Ooh. I'm like, why does that make you so mad? Why is that? Why do you take that so personally? And I'm like, is that really piss you off that much? Like, aren't you an adult? There's like little things like that I would come up with, where it's just like, you can never really fully trust somebody, or somebody that seems to always be arguing with their wife or their girlfriend, but their wife or their girlfriend is like always around, but the second they're around, they talk about how much they hate them. And it's like, yo, you don't talk to her like that when she's around. When she's around, it looks like she runs the house. Why don't you just leave her ass? And then you find out it's because she's the one with the job and he ain't got no money. So it's like, oh, you talk really big when she's not around. And I notice she's the one that throws all the money around. You don't got shit. You don't do shit. I saw that on Twitter actually the other night. And it's kind of funny, like, if you're gonna chase your dreams, you got to bring in the money to back up your dreams. You can't chase your dreams at the expense of other people. And I think that is like a massively hard lesson these days. And I think it's only going to get worse, because I think everybody's at their wits' end financially so much that, oh, appreciate you, Nanny. I hope you enjoyed the talk. I hope I didn't chase you off. I know it's really late. I think as the economy gets worse, people are more inclined to just keep doing like massive, like all or nothing risky moves. And I think it's just going to just put them insanely in debt, impossibly in debt. And kind of just looping back around to the beginning of the conversation, I really don't know kind of how we get through this as a country. I don't know how financially we get out of this. I think half of the country is just going to be dirt poor. Like, there's so many houses here for sale. It's insane. I don't trust men with earrings, especially both ears or a gauge. Dude, that's funny that you say that. So like, there are so many, I don't know what to call them, not urban legends or whatever, but not where people are like, any gal with like any nose piercing right now is just like super toxic. And so it's like, you hear some gal talking and you're like, oh shit, she's got a nose ring. Just get out of there. I don't care. I don't care if she's in the middle of talking. If she's got a nose ring, just get out of there. It's weird how culture... Dude, the 50-year loans. Oh my gosh. So the funny thing is, I was talking to the AI about that. Because I talked to the AI about mortgage stuff and Fed interest rate stuff a lot. And the AI does not bring up 50-year loans yet. And so it makes me wonder. I'm really interested in hearing what the AI has to say about this. I'll ask it like tomorrow. Yes, yeah, dude, Glocktard, exactly. Women with the bull nose rings. That's exactly what I'm talking about. There's so many jokes on Twitter where they're just like, just block them or walk away or whatever you got to do. Because a lot of people said that those nose rings are like, you know, slave rings, like bull ring, like slave rings. It's interesting. It's weird. But yeah, the 50-year loan thing, like, if the Fed just doesn't ever lower interest rates enough, which it's looking like they're not going to, and if home loans don't go down, the only thing they'll be able to do is 50-year loans. I'm not saying that's good. I'm saying it actually makes it actually makes sense that that's what they're doing. Because that's the only thing left that can string a Scooby-Dooby-Doo. The only thing that can limp housing along is going to be 50-year loans. So I'm really let's see. Let me open up the AI really quick, because I have it in one of the strings or thread. I don't know what to call this. Okay. Have home lenders priced in another interest rate drop yet? Home lenders have partially priced in the Fed's recent cut, but they have not fully baked in another drop. Mortgage rates remain stuck in the mid 6% range, showing only modest easing. Okay, so I have a theoretical question. How come you don't factor in 50-year loans? That's a great theoretical question. Here's why 50-year mortgages aren't factored in when we talk about lending and housing. Rare in the U.S. The dominant products are 30-year fixed and 15-year fixed. Lenders, regulators, and investors are set up around those maturities. Risk profile. A 50-year loan means the bank carries repayment risk for half a century. That's far beyond the horizon most investors want to hold mortgage-backed securities. Interest cost. Stretching to 50 years lowers the monthly payment, but total interest paid skyrockets. It's often seen as predatory or unsustainable. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac don't back 50-year loans. Without their support, lenders can't easily sell those loans into the secondary market. Buyers usually want stability and equity growth. A 50-year loan builds equity painfully slowly, which discourages adoption. Okay, so then you say, okay, can the U.S. government compel Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to back them somehow? Otherwise, who else in the U.S. would ever back those? This is why I love with the AI. I can talk about this damn thing. I can talk to this damn thing. It doesn't get pissed off at me. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are government-sponsored enterprises under federal conservatorship since 2008. Oh, what happened in 2008, everybody? That means the Federal Housing Finance Agency and ultimately Congress have authority to change their mandate. Oh, so Congress can just change what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac do. That's great. Expanding. Oh, Rip Curl says it's just one of the ways they want to use to bail out the companies like BlackRock being overextended by buying up everything in sight for ridiculous prices. I say don't buy it. Right. So I agree with all that. Not arguing. I think this is interesting that they need Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to back these, but Congress controls Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac now. So if they want to go to 50-year mortgages, all they have to do is tell Congress to tell them to do it. But it says expanding them back to 40 or 50-year mortgages would require legislation or regulatory overhaul because their charters are tightly defined around standard products, mostly 30-year and 15-year fixed. Political risk. Longer loans are seen as risky and potentially predatory, so compelling Fannie Freddie to back them would be controversial. It would look like the government is papering over affordability problems instead of fixing them. Hold on. No, hold on. Oh gosh darn it. Okay, looking like papering over problems. Isn't that literally what they are doing, though? Exactly, that's the paradox. On the surface, the Fed and policymakers claim they're managing stability, but in practice, it often looks like papering over deeper structural problems instead of fixing them. Instead of tackling runaway home prices, they tinker with rates, which barely move mortgage costs. Stealth layoffs. Oh, by the way, I was talking to the AI about stealth layoffs. I was watching crap, I can't remember what his name was. But he was talking about these layoffs where companies are laying off 40... Yeah, good night, Glocktard. Appreciate you. Companies are laying off 49 people at a time, so it doesn't show up in any official data. So they're saying that layoffs are actually way, way worse than anyone actually notices because they're laying off 49 at a time, which is insane. I don't know why everybody isn't talking about that. I found it on accident on what's his face's YouTube channel. I can't remember his name. Nobody cares. He has way more views than I do anyway. So the Fed points to resilient employment while workers quietly slide backwards. State taxes pile on, but national policy ignores regional pain. They celebrate inflation cooling from 9% to 3%, but ignore that essentials are still raising faster than wages. So it's papering over problems. The Fed's cautious tweaks in rhetoric create the appearance of control, but they don't address the structural issues driving housing, freezing stealth layoffs, and shrinking wages. I think I believe that they are going to do that 50-year thing next year, because I think that the banks are not going to lower interest rates for houses. Home lenders are not going to lower interest rates. I think they are creating another environment where half of the U.S. is just going to be empty houses. So while they say that there's a housing shortage and we need 100,000 more homes, there's houses for sale everywhere. Everywhere. Where I came from, there's a couple houses in every single subdivision for sale. The problem is they're a fortune. So we'll go look on Redfin. And oh, by the way, there's a company that's trying to buy up every single one of these mortgage places so they can just completely take over the entire home mortgage thing and be in charge of be in charge of how this home data exists so they can sell homes on the private market without homes hitting the public market. I forgot the name of the place, but I just read it the other day. This guy has already taken over like 2 of the major realtor websites, and if he buys one more realtor website, he'll own a controlling stake in the council that controls whether homes go on the open market or not before they're posted, which is going to completely change how homes are sold. How do you the Redfin is being retarded and not loading any houses on the mappy do. Let me try to refresh. Yeah, 50 years. Oh, there we go. Yeah, 50 years, which means you'll get equity. You'll get, a penny worth of equity a month. Meow wow. Meow wow. Meow wow. So much match. You did the monster mash? Meow wow. Meow wow. Meow wow. Yeah, there's houses. I'm looking at these houses for sale now. In the area that I came from, there's tons of houses for sale. 570K, 650K, 550K, 550K, 690K. I used to walk by that house all the time. 690. Oh, too much math. I used to walk by that house every day, and it's 690,000. 690,000. In the neighborhood I was right next to the neighborhood I was staying at. 700. This is, hold on, let me 4 bed, 2.5 bath. 735,000. 735,000. In the neighborhood I was at, 610,000. The house right next to it. Why is one house 700 and one house 600? Who knows? Doesn't matter. And that's the thing. Now let's go check my other neighborhood. The neighborhood I got. The neighborhood I used to live at. 470, 600, 715. Just rips my heart out, man. Lost my house for almost no money, basically. And let's see how much. 450. That's not the right one. Here we go. 413. It's just insane. Like, there's houses for sale, but you're gonna have to pay 535,000. 520, 625. Those aren't even big houses. The big houses up on the hills where the hill rats live, those are like between 1.5 and 1.7. And that's just it's a 3 bed, 3 bath. For 1.5 million. 4 bed, 3 bath for 1.7 million. A 4-bed, 3-bath for 1.3 million. That's right up the street from where I used to live. So, I wonder though, like, again, to kind of circle back around, if there's anybody left. I wonder what I'll ask it. Okay, here we go. This'll close it out. Let's just go where I used to live, and we'll go with. Let's pretend my house is for sale for 400. Oh shoot! I closed Copilot. Uno momento. What you can help me with is by pulling my chat back up. Copilot, pull my chat back up. Please, Copilot. Please. Copilot. My chat. Copilot, pull up my chat. No. Copilot sucks sometimes, you guys. Here we go. Okay. So how much would a $450,000 house cost with, the $30,000 down on a 50-year mortgage? Wait, per month. It's still $2,200 per month. It only saves you a couple $100. It doesn't even save you that much money. But it almost doubles how much interest you pay. So with a 50-year loan, you're paying the entire principal in interest. That's so bad. That's just the most insane thing imaginable. Everybody's gonna lose their houses. And Rip Curl earlier said, bail out the companies like BlackRock. The funny thing is they are in this mess to begin with because they bought so many houses in cash that they drove the price up. We're in a 40-year-old mobile home. But because they paid for everything around this in cash, and in my opinion, what should have been illegal is when they assessed the value of our house, it was conveniently assessed by a bunch of, BlackRock cash payments or a bunch of California cash payments. People trying to tell me that didn't exist. I talked to realtors that said they will walk up to the house with a suitcase full of cash. Literally. They were walking around from house to house with suitcases full of cash and buying houses with cash. Right there. So, they, in a weird kind of a way, they drove the price of houses up, and now they kind of have to suffer because the banks don't want that price to go back down ever again. They artificially tripled houses, and then they want them to stay there forever. And I don't know what people are going to do. But I bought a bunch of land, not a bunch of land. I bought a little modest piece of land so that nobody would ever have to deal with that again. And my thought process was, and Scoobs would remember this, my thought process was, if there's no jobs, it doesn't matter where you live. So if I live out in the middle of nowhere in the rainforest, and I have to it don't give a shit if nobody else has a job or if they retire. Like, as long as they have somewhere to live, as long as somebody has land, you know, they can take their social security check or their disability check or their boomer check or, you know, whatever it is they've got, you know, and I've got land, you know, that's enough to sustain everybody as long as I can keep my job. See, what happened last time is like, I wasn't able to keep my job and I couldn't find anybody to help me. And so I positioned myself this time to where I would be the person that everybody else could rely on. And if everybody else lost everything, you know, I would be that rock. But I think through that journey, I feel like I met much stronger people. Yeah, Scoobs remembers. Scoobs remembers. I went through this shit for years, trying to figure all this out, trying to find the perfect spot. And you know, this place is amazing. I think you used to watch my videos, like when I would walk through the trees and stuff and show off all the trees. My orchard's like 3 times that big now, even though the deer tried to eat it all again. And I think, you know, I never want to go through what I went through ever again. So, you know, I've got, my job doesn't make a lot of money, but it's super stable. And, you know, we lost everything. We had to spend everything and had to lose everything again to get into this place. But, you know, I think everybody else is going to come around. You know, either they're eventually going to move here or they're going to have to move in with other family. Excuse me. I think the future is everybody moving back in with each other again. And I think a lot of people are understanding that. That's what I think last episode or 2 episodes ago was about people starting to build multi-generational homes on their property. And, you know, my dad talked about that when I was a kid and he just never did it. Yeah. That's exactly it. Like, and I think that's what finally kind of made me okay with it, as I was watching Southern Pepper 1 and a long time ago, you know, 7, 8, 9 years ago now. And he was talking about that, like, sometimes that's what you have to do to clear your debt. You know, we had to lose everything to basically clear our debt, because a house that you can't pay for, even if it's amazing and even if it doesn't cost that much, is still a debt. You know, but the second Obama crash was just horrible. You know, we missed the .com crash, but the first Obama crash and second Obama crash just, we skipped the first one, but the second one just obliterated us. You know, we picked up a house between the first and second, but, you know, Obama destroyed our economy. Both elections, both 4-year things, you know, he destroyed it both times. And then the Rona just destroyed it again. You know, we survived the Rona crash, but, you know, a lot of people didn't. And it only takes one crash to get you. And, you know, now I'm not a manager, but I'm a lead, and, you know, I can hire people now. And the guy that we're hiring, at least as far as I can tell, was unemployed for like a year and a half. You know, so I don't know if he had a lot of savings, or if his wife had a lot of savings, or if they just had a house with a low interest rate, in which case you don't need a lot of money. But, you know, he was unemployed for a year and a half, at least as far as I can tell. And that's, I think that is just going to get worse. You know, people that applied for hundreds of jobs, it's only getting worse. You have to be an amazing fit, and you have to say the right things. And so being your own boss, having your own job with, you know, where your effort directly scales and collates into you making more money, is what you have to do. You have to do that now. And if you work for somebody else, you just have to be doing that on the side. You need multiple gigs. Sometimes there's people with 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs. They'll have 2 jobs and they'll have a third job, because the price of everything's doubled or tripled. And now the question is, like, who's going to survive to, you know, live to tell the next generation? And for a lot of people, that's people who are living in multi-generational homes that have created their own businesses and just have whole families orbiting around them. And a lot of people are old school and still don't see that. They still don't get it. They still don't see it. And I think next year is going to be the year, because next year is that 50-year mortgage thing. I think the Fed is going to screw everybody. I think the home lenders are going to screw everybody. And I think 50-year mortgages are going to be like the next subprime mortgages. I knew a coworker that got a subprime mortgage. Dude, he got screwed so bad, they lost their house in no time flat. And he made good money. He made really good money. He was a server admin. And it didn't matter, because those adjustable subprime rate mortgage thingy-mabobs, and it's just like, dude, you could be a bajillionaire and not be able to pay those. You know, they would do 80/20s. They do 80/20s on a adjustable rate mortgage, and just like, dude, it was like a bomb going off in your bank account. And the 50 years not going to be quite that bad, but you couple that with like all the gig work running out and all the automation and robots, and people go, oh, I'm going to fix toilets and I'm going to fix pipes. And it's not going to matter, because homeowners aren't going to have any money to pay you to do that. I'm going to mow lawns. Nobody's got any money. Well, half of society is still going to have money. Then the other half is just going to be, you can't have half of society. Yeah, take care, Scoobs. Appreciate you hanging out and listening to me ramble. Half of society cannot subsidize the other half with unskilled blue-collar work. Even if you kicked out all the illegals, all the Somalis, everyone on an expired visa, all the H-1Bs, even if you kicked all of them out. Good night. Good night, good night, good night. Even if you kicked them all out, there's not enough people left with money. Half of society cannot subsidize the other half on low and no skilled labor. Not with because people want a living wage to mow my lawn. I've talked about this before. I am not paying you $40 to mow my lawn. I am not. You are insane. Or you're just a dick. I'm not paying you $40 an hour to mow my lawn. You're batshit insane. Oh, well, capital inflation, I have to make capital investments. Your mower's paid off. Well, I gotta be paying for the next mower. Okay, good for you. That's not my job to amortize like your entire lawnmower business. That's not how it works. As the same thing the doctor's offices do. They price in the cost of a new MRI machine And they just leave at that price forever because they know the market will bear it. They don't give a shit the premiums are going up because they know somebody's going to subsidize it because healthcare is a human right. And then, you know, they try to do the shit where it's like, you have to mow your lawn or we're going to turn you in. And it's like, so you're just subsidizing somebody mowing lawns all day. And you're subsidizing people pumping each other's gas and all these other fake jobs. Like, you're going to be a house cleaner, you're going to be the first person to get let go. It's good money, but, like, the people next door are going to do it for $1 an hour cheaper. And it's a race to the bottom. It's a race to the bottom that you didn't know. So, what's the moral of the story, everybody? Buy a drone. Buy a drone and start your own drone business. Buy 3D printers and start your own 3D printing business. You know, learn something new, you know, and then start training other people and have a training business. You know, like, do something that's kind of relatively in your bailiwick, but kind of outside your comfort zone, and challenge yourself and just keep trying to improve just a little bit at a time. Try to learn something just a little bit new and just keep going. Learn batteries, learn electrical, learn wiring, you know, get cable strippers, you know, repair kitty posts. Like, I don't care, you know, drone repair, video game repair, TV repair, something, I don't know. Try to learn something. Because if you end up on the poor side, you're going to be relying on the not poor side to subsidize you, and you're going to need to know things that the non-poors need, because knowing things that all the other poors already know, but none of the other poors can afford to pay you for, is going to just screw you, you know. Learn to be a dentist, learn to be a pharmacist, learn to be a doctor, learn things that, you know, the non-poors need. The poors you're not going to be cleaning their houses, you're not going to be watching their kids, not for any money. They don't need babysitters, none of them can have jobs. So, deliver groceries, you know, take care of your car and deliver groceries or something. Don't get robbed. Anyway, I think everyone is drifting away. It's super late / early, depending on where you're at. I appreciate you all. And like, subscribe, and buy my book. It's on sale all week. And this was a fun chat, so I appreciate y'all. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye-bye. Wait, I gotta play a song first. We'll play these, like, new ones. The AI wrote these, but they're still fun. Nope, not that.